Hi, my name is Liana Avalos, and this is my persuasive speech on unequal access to higher education. In a quote by Global Statistics by globalstatistics.com, they say around 91% of Americans aged 25 or older have received their high school diploma, while around 38% are college graduates. First and secondary school are mandatory, whereas further education such as college, trade school, or any sort of education that is necessary to begin career practices make minorities or anyone struggling pay absurd amount of money in order to further these educations. Now, the relevance of this is actually very important because students are going off to college, and we need jobs and we need education to maintain a comfortable lifestyle. Education allows people to get job opportunities that you would not have gotten if you did not have that education. Now, I'm credible to be speaking about this because I am a student that does dual enrollment classes. I am still in high school. And as someone who's continuously looking towards other colleges to be applying to, I really want to understand why the situation is the way it is, why people struggle so much to have further education, and it allows me to really understand and be grateful and continue the path of dual enrollment so I do not have to pay as much money or struggle as much in the future to get further education. Now, in my speech, I will be talking about unequal access to education and how it began and its dangerous increases, and then I will also talk about a possibility to combat the growing issue. First, I would like to describe what educational inequality is. Then I would like to talk about what caused the inequality in the first place. Lastly, I would also like to talk about the solutions to it and how to make sure future generations do not have to suffer from educational equality. So let's begin. Many students struggle to reach post-secondary education opportunities because of social economic status, race, geographic location, and educational background. Another quote by USA Facts state that many of these differences in educational outcomes can be attributed to the differences in household income. Students in lower income households lack the resources used by their higher income peers. The lack of equity in education leads to students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, which is more often ethnic students, from not having the same resources to help those students catch up. It's less likely that they get post-secondary education, leading to smaller income and restarting the cycle of their children. Another quote by Penn Foster also shows that while there are special education classes for those who may need more help, a neurodivergent student who has ADHD, autism, or even depression and anxiety may not have as much understanding or as assistance. Now, without the resources for neurodivergent students, they are put at a disadvantage as they struggle with their education and don't receive any extra help to combat it. It leads to harming the student's mental health and a lack of motivation, preventing them from achieving what they could have because they hadn't received the help that they needed. But now that you've heard about the problem with unequal access to higher education, I want to share why that has become the norm. Systemic boundaries and growing wealth gaps keep pushing minorities and lower financial economic individuals further into the inability to expand their education. Now, another quote by NIH.gov in a 22 article states the one that consistently seems to affect college attendance is socioeconomic status. Socioeconomic status is often classified according to two criteria: the parents' income and their level of education. Now, what this means that in general, if the parents have had a good education and have a good income, it's most likely that their children would also have that same fate because the parents provide such an opportunity for their children. And it gives this loop and this continuity of people who are poor and don't have good education to stay poor and not have a good education, while rich people who have good education and good income to continuously stay in that loop. Another quote also states, while white and Asian students have demonstrated higher representation within higher education, whereas racial minority groups, including Black, Hispanic, Native American, have continued to face heightened structural barriers when seeking admission to colleges, particularly to four-year selections. Now, even though colleges want diversity, they continuously push out other minorities such as Native, such as Hispanic, such as Black, because of the stereotypical smart Asian, smart white people, and it enables these colleges to prevent other diverse groups from being accepted into college, and it puts people into a loop where white and Asian students always get that gold medal, always get the good paper, always get the application to these Ivy League colleges. It prevents them from having the opportunity to go to college. And now that I've talked about the problem that allowed for the continuation of unequal access to higher education, I want to talk to you about possible changes society can make to better prepare students for college. Taking part in early action, preparation, and making sure students understand what is required of them to go to college is the best way to save any demographic from having to be rejected, not having that opportunity. In a citation by Longdon, they state, it's in a website by Adrian Signon and Longdon.com. It was last accessed November 24th. Investing in early childhood education is most important for reducing educational inequality. They want to petition the state to give more funding and resources to the school with disadvantaged students, which can help balance the inequalities and ensure that not only the students in more wealthy areas have good education, but also the students in poorer areas too, to make sure that it's not biased across all grades, across all demographics, where each set group has all of that opportunity. Another one states, a school counselor to discuss college admissions or financial aid, their chances of attending colleges is 3.2 times higher for students who did not meet with a counselor. This means that the most effective resource for going to college isn't easy accessibility to students, but it's communication, it's the knowledge of being presented the option and understanding how that option can be used, utilized, and developed in a way where they can have that opportunity to go to college. It can be helped to making sure that the schools have an equal counselor to student ratio, and then they have the funding to maintain this resource for students. But now that I've talked to you about how to help with the problem of unequal access to education, let's conclude. To recap, I discussed the problem with unequal access to education, what caused that problem, and then how to solve it. After listening to my speech, I hope you are more aware in why we should help all people receive a good education, and then that can help them maintain a good job, a good career, so they do not have to struggle. With economics weighing heavily on my mind and with the minds of my peers as we choose our own paths in high school, especially as a dual enrollment student, we realize that education allows us to make money and that we can choose to live and explore with. Thank you. That is it. Boom.